I think I will now draw back to the whole concept of a romantic relationship and try to understand toxic relationships.
Toxic relationships, yes.
Toxic relationships.
Guys, the stage is yours.
No one ever comes to you with a label say, "Hey, I'm toxic," unless they are,
Psychopathic.
being psychopathic. So it's always, I'm trying my best. I want to be in love. I want to care.
I didn't mean to hurt you.
I didn't mean to hurt you. I wasn't in control, blah, blah, blah.
I don't know how come my emotions got the better of me.
But something, one way or another, something is happening such that you feel stuck. You feel like you can't be your true self. You feel like you cannot grow anymore. You feel forced. You feel like you're walking on eggshells every time you're with that person. So what's happening here? To me, remember what we talked of the 3 types of love in the Greek definitions? In agapic love, which is the love of creation, the love of giving, I can give you a lot of love. But if I do not understand myself, I'm not giving love, I'm giving a projection of myself. And it manifests, the best way I was thinking about this, in the form of anxiety and fear that's out of proportion. For example, being late. I cannot stand being late, which is you're full of shit because you're late. So then you'll go, whoa, what's going on here? Now, what can you do here in this relationship? You can call it out. Julian, there is actually no danger. And whatever danger that you are predicting is a prediction, is a projection. I do not share the same fear or anxiety, but let's dig into it. Or you can accept it. Julian does not want to be late, so therefore I will always be punctual. You have now changed yourself for me. So who is at wrong here? I think neither, but the most powerful way to move forward would be to investigate and grow on both parts. More so to the person that's feeling the fear and anxiety. But the toxicity now comes in if I feel like it is the right thing to do for you to be punctual, and I use logic here. Don't you think it's right to be punctual? Don't you think it's respectable to the other party? But then you can also counter back saying that, well, we have certain circumstances at play that, it's okay to not be punctual sometimes. But if you choose not to say that, you choose to change yourself and to now accept my will, my imposition of my projection and fear now becomes your problem. Then we've got a problem here, and toxicity will begin to build. The poison will begin to stir. I feel like toxicity occurs, people always say, because of bad communication. Yes, but too simple to just say that. The deeper breakthrough of communication is for both parties to, first of all, know themselves. Because I feel tremendous fear, and you tell me, I feel no fear at all. I say, I think you should be punctual, and you say, I think not in this situation. And then we build from there. That's very interesting clashing of opinions. Some people will say, just find a middle ground. And I think not so easy, not so simple. Building a relationship is uncovering the self, and we must accept that. If either of us chooses to be self-ignorant, to ignore this point, then the projection will increase, and the toxicity we build, it becomes a pain point that will cyclically repeat. It will repeat again and again. It will keep coming back again and again and again. We'll keep having the same argument, and we'll be like, this is as if life is on repeat.
What I'm hearing is that in a toxic relationship, it feels like a lot of the times, wow, you know that this is taking a mental toll, you know that this is emotionally like devastating for you, but you feel like you can't get out. It is almost as if you're stuck in a constant loop of the same shit happening over and over again. And you don't know why or how to stop it. It feels like a lot of these times, the relationship is not growing, it's not alive anymore, it's dead. We are essentially behaving like robots stuck in a system. But maybe it's an emotional pattern system lah.
So how do you know when to leave or how to leave? Because if, let's say, I'm so deeply in love with that person and I want to keep trying and trying for it to work because I still have faith in him.
Are you deeply in love with that person, or are you deeply in love with your imagination of what could be? Are you truly paying attention? If that person cheats on you and then he's like, okay, I swear it's a one-time mistake, I'm not going to do it again. 2 years later it happens again. 3 years later it happens again. 4 years later it happens again. And you are like, no, I still love him. Firstly, I think you need to be very clear with yourself what it is that you love him or your own image. And secondly, to say I love him presumes that it is a human being. But if a person is behaving like a robot,
I'm in love with a wall.
yeah.
I think the dissecting and the investigation should now now be pointed towards you. What do you love about him? Do you feel any pain at all? Have you communicated those pains? What was the reaction back? Or are you afraid? So my questioning therefore goes in this train. First is, how do you feel about what just happened? I'm guessing you felt very hurt. Did you communicate it? And usually it's, I tried, or I didn't try hard enough, or I'm afraid to. And then we go, you've lost your free will. Now, what are you going to do about that? And usually, this is where it gets quite interesting. It's not so simple as just, I love, he loves, she loves, but rather, I'm stuck. I'm existentially stuck. And that's usually because a lot of logic, a lot of habits have come into play to block you out. You are not transforming. If you are not transforming, you're not in love anymore. So you are holding on to whatever you think is positive and saying that is love. But I think you've already lost it. So long as your heart and your soul wants to transform and grow, but if it feels like it can't, it's not really love. It is perhaps a yearning to hold on to something that you feel like you can't hold on to.
Actually, I wonder if you could supplement this discussion with something more personal. Because it feels that we are getting into a bit of a theoretical debate about this like theoretical toxic relationship. I think we need to ground it in something that has been experienced, because it is a very I want to take this topic seriously of toxic relationships.
Experiencing the world via possession. That was the thread I wanted to go into. Then we now enter into the realm of controlling, manipulative
Obsession.
So my ex was very controlling, very manipulative, and it can transpire like this. You're not allowed to have friends who are girls. You're not allowed to have friends of the same gender. You're not allowed to do this or that because I'm afraid you will cheat on me, because I'm afraid that you will run away, etc. So there's an element of control here. What's happening when someone wants to control? What's happening is that I'm no longer seen as human. This is not an act of love. This is not a transformative relationship. But why does someone want to control and manipulate and hold on to? It's because if that person experiences the world via possession, then they need to hold on to it in order to experience it. And to let go of it is to lose its existence, making the person feel like in question of the very existence itself. So I feel like my ex never understood, in a very, very simple sense, the growth mindset. That things that happen to you can be used to help you grow. I always say that she sees things in a very static sense, that things are unchanging and unmoving. Why I say that is because if you insult her, for example, I think that what you did was not very good. This piece of art that you made is bad. She would see it as an insult to her very existence. And you go, whoa, I didn't mean it like that. I meant this art piece is bad. And we all make bad art sometimes. We all make mistakes sometimes. See it as a growth mindset, can't you? No. She sees it as a true attack to her being. And she would see it that way because at a fundamental level, she's seeing things as static. And therefore, a person who sees things as static would take tremendous insult from the smallest things. And I would say by extension, in order not to be insulted, might hide it, might lie about it, and might want to control it. You are not allowed to insult me. And that was literally a rule that she put in place in the relationship. You are not allowed to critique me. And I'm like, what the heck? But I was also existentially stuck, so I accepted that rule, and I felt like I completely lost myself because now I was living in a dual reality. When in front of her, I cannot critique her. But when I'm outside, I can maybe think about myself like, actually, yeah, I did not agree at all with what she did.
So your thoughts and actions don't add up, because you can critique her like, oh, this is terrible, but verbally you must be like, oh, that's an amazing thing that you just did.
Correct. I had to do that. And in the practicing of that, I felt like I completely lost myself. I was not real. And I would have convinced myself that love was a sacrificial love. Oh, okay, sorry, that hit me hard. I just realized why we stay in love. I was why we stay in a situation say that this is love is because remember there are various forms of love. If we distort and poison agapic love, which is again a love of creation, a love of sacrifice to the extreme. It means I hate myself, nothing I do matters, I give, I give, I give. You have distorted it because we've forgotten the reason why you could give in the first place. It's because you choose to give, because you want to give, because you want to transform, because it changes everything. It's a beautiful form of love, but taken to extremes is now self-hatred. Yeah. And that was where I was going. I've taken the symptoms of love and thought that that is love. Love is when I give. Love is when I help. And I held on to that and I therefore destroyed everything else. And then it became twisted love.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm just sitting with the question that you posed, which was, what kind of person must you be to want to dominate and possess everything in the world, including another human being?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, exactly that.
How terrified must you be of the unknown, and by extension everything else that is bigger than yourself, like God, like faith, even like, I don't know, the universe. And if you cannot fathom how big these things are, then how small must your world be? How caged must you feel every day to want to completely control everything that happens to you?
It's very interesting for me because the fallacy is that the world is unchanging, things are static. But if you ask anyone, do you think that the world is static and unchanging? They're like, no, of course not. But do you believe it? They subconsciously might believe that the world is static. And the problem is this, they don't want to investigate it. They feel it's uncomfortable to reflect on the self, or they do not want to. They feel like, I don't need to. And upon not doing that, the seed of evil has been planted and will grow to the most atrocious acts. But not just the fundamental of the world aesthetic, for ourselves even, how many things are we subconsciously, illogically putting into place? And that's terrible. It will birth terrible acts. And if we want to prevent it, then there must be the action of self-reflection, always.
I have a very strong thought of like, now we're talking about the toxic ex. How about the other party? In terms of the person that is in that toxic relationship, how are you betraying yourself, having that form of self-pity that also destroys you as your own person? And how do you escape that? Because yes, I can know that I'm in a toxic relationship, or maybe I don't even know that I'm in a toxic relationship anymore because your level of tolerance becomes higher each time to what they do. So how do you stop yourself, or how do you stop yourself from falling with that person? Maybe I can share a personal experience in terms of the toxic relationship that I was once in, and how each time something bad happens, something amazing happens afterwards. So he goes like, oh, I'm so sorry I've ever done this. I'm so sorry. Like, I will never do this again. And it becomes a cycle, but it becomes a bigger and bigger cycle. So something even worse happened. But he did something even better and brought me something beautiful. I'll never do this again. And you get so caught up in the good that you always keep forgetting the bad. And that's when you don't even realize that your tolerance have grown from the pain. So is that self-betrayal? Because you didn't listen to your heart, but you were okay with it. So
I think the question can be reversed also, like, what kind of person must you be to stay in a toxic relationship?
18-year-old and naive. That's the type of person and don't know what love is. Or doesn't even know myself. Maybe for me, like, why did I stay? Maybe it's because I was so insecure, or like didn't even know what I wanted in life, that it was easier for me to follow someone. To be with someone in a relationship who I thought knew what they were doing, but it ended up being the blind following the blind.
Yeah. I feel like if you follow your quote unquote heart, it will always be misled because the manipulator has you on the palm of their fingers. Something bad happens and then it's instantly, probably very quickly recuperated with something very, very positive, hugely positive. And if you are taking into account, I guess, my heart, in the pain, it will not have time to process the pain before something good happens. And it's interesting if you can ask yourself this question, even in the good times, can you tell that you're suffering? That would be interesting. That even things are great. I want to kill myself. Wait, wow, why? That's interesting. Because that's how I felt back in when I was with my ex as well. Like in the triumph, we just overcame a big project together. Oh, very specific information now. Something really good happened. And then I could think, fuck, I want to kill myself. And I'm thinking, why would I be thinking of something so terrible?
When something is so good.
Yeah, and this is where it gets interesting. If we can ignore the superficial feelings and dig into the subconscious, if one is very, very trained to be very aware of your heart in a deeper sense, I think you can very quickly tell when something's not working and you gotta run. I think really like yourself when you encounter situations, even with me, like you can say that, you know what, something very simple just happened. I want to leave. And I'm like, whoa, wow, that was quick. Wait, why? Let's investigate a bit deeper. And because I changed, he was like, okay, since you changed, in terms of my mindset, not my behavior, clearly we are on the right track. That is to say, if you knew your heart very well, you can sense the pain even in the good times. And you know you gotta go.
So would you say that what prompted you to stay was that you were not listening to the pain?
Yes, I was not listening to the pain. And maybe by then I felt like I was not able to hear the pain at all. The silencing of your own heart was incremental and growing more and more and more. So what could stand out was maybe, for example, my body rebelling. Maybe like I was gaining a lot of weight very suddenly. I was feeling tremendous exhaustion and fatigue. And as a medical student, I was like, this is depression. Why am I depressed?
So you were aware back then that you were undergoing depression.
The symptoms were popping out, but I would not go on to confront this thought. So it's like, oh, it's happening. Let's not think about it.
Just to clarify, so even when you had the thought of like, oh, we conquered a big project together, wow, I want to kill myself, like even that phrase, you didn't confront it or you just brushed it aside.
Let's see what happened. I was lying on the sofa. It was a good day because good work was completed. I felt I had some free time. I wanted to kill myself. And that felt so strange. I did not know what to do. I was running away. I was running away through various pleasures, drinking.
So it's like you saw
etc.
that thought and
Yeah.
then you're like, gotta go, bye.
Yes, correct.
Ran.
Yeah, and it was not a conscious thought of wanting to run away. Now, when did I kind of slow down is when I saw the contradictions in my life. So when I spoke to someone who was a little bit more awakened in life and go, isn't that a bit strange what you're doing? I'm like, yeah, but it's fine, haha. And then the person, bless her if she could, says, hold that thought a real quick, why are you running away? What are you running away from? And this is where it's very interesting. You cannot really sense the symptoms in a smaller sense, but you can sense the bigger patterns. I keep rushing from one job to another. For example, you can sense this pattern. This is very obvious to you. And then you can actually sit with this thought for a bit. Why am I rushing from one thing to another? Why am I afraid of conversations that are deep? Why am I afraid of this, for example? So you can be more lucid of these patterns. Yeah, why am I addicted? That's a big one. Why am I addicted to gaming? Why do I want control back in my life? Why am I addicted to drinking? Why am I addicted to masturbation? All these addictions are very interesting signs pointing you towards something is damn wrong and maybe needs fixing. And honestly, maybe needs a lot of work. Revolutionary work. And I'm not ready to confront that yet. Does any of this resonate or land for you?
I was just thinking in terms of how would I have done things differently back then? It was so difficult because everything was so uncertain and I didn't know how to trust my intuition. The worst thing was that I thought I was the problem. So me beating myself up about that, I thought like I had to fix myself. So it was very difficult for me to leave that relationship.
I have a thought I want to follow up on. It seems many a time someone guides the lost sheep out of the situation. And if you don't mind us sharing this example, I helped you out of one of the relationships. Why did you?
The relationship.
I feel the breakthrough is this: why did you listen to me? That would be the key question to the breakthrough. You got out in the end. You were lost, I was lost. Bernice helped me out of my relationship. So the key question we could ask is, why did you listen to me and why did I listen to you?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Yeah, why? I remember telling you something.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me that you wanted to stay because you want to help her. And I think this is a very interesting phenomenon where we couch, I'm going to just say this. We couch the banality of evil with virtue. We make it virtuous at the expense of ourselves and our souls and our happiness. And I remember saying to you then that I don't think you understand what it means to help someone. Because by shackling yourself with her, you are also not letting her fly. And I remember that was something that spoke to you at that time.
I have my answer. I will tie in something that we've been discussing, and that is that when I met you and I spoke with you, it felt far more real than whatever I was experiencing with my ex. It felt like I was closer to the truth, and that subconscious part of my heart that was begging to be free said, here is something closer to reality. And then that pulled me out. That made me listen to you a little bit more. I think that conversation just felt so real. And then here's what I've tied in. It's love. I love, like, in the more genuine sense. And now let's not talk of romantic love first. The love in the divine sense of my soul wanting to grow, wanting to be bigger, when actually I found something that potentially can lead me out, then that's where the initiation of the investigation began.
It's interesting because I remember when we had this conversation that changed your mind. It was actually quite cruel. Like, I was quite cruel because I didn't go, oh, you're so brave. Like, I didn't speak to that supposed virtue of self-sacrifice that you were painting. I just went, this is complete bullshit. And even though I could see that you were hurting, which might be very foreign to maybe people who assume that if I speak this way, it is hurting you instead of helping. But at that point of time, I strongly felt like, no, you need to see that when someone is so entrenched in a pattern, you are being a part of that pattern. And you thinking that you can sacrifice your life and help her is, number one, spitting in the face of everyone who loved you for you, and number two, playing God. And who are you to play God, to think that you can fix her? And how dare you play God? What gave you that level of narcissism? Basically, that was what I said at that point of time.
Wow.
And then I think it came as a shock. I think the shock of, like, wow, this is my own evil to myself. Pour away that cotton of, like, I am doing something virtuous, even though it could be interpreted as cruel.
I got a feeling that someone somewhere out there needs to hear this.
Along the lines of what Renice has said, I was thinking in terms of what Julian has said to me to get me out of that toxic relationship. I think it was a bit different because I was shattered, basically. And I think Julian saw that I was completely lost. He approached it in in a very sympathetic way. So instead of the harsh reality of things, he started off really lightly and actually showed me that I completely forsaken the love for myself. Small example of, I had to ask Julian after the breakup, can I go out and put on makeup? Is that allowed? And he was like, what are you talking about? Why are you asking me? I have no control over your life. Just do what you want. And I didn't realize till that point in time how broken I was, because I stopped caring about my own body, about my own self, about my own mental health, that I was literally a robot. And at that time, for Julian to make me get out of that, he didn't say end the relationship, break up. He said, ask your boyfriend to give you some space and just some time to go learn how to drive and just relax. And from me just asking for space, it blew up into this huge argument. And at that point in time, I was like, wow, someone's asking me to love myself, and this other party is completely saying, no, don't do that. And I was like, okay, this is it. I've suddenly been awakened. I was like, yo, I need to leave. Because I didn't know, I forgot how to love myself. Well, I'm gonna start crying. This hits. But yeah. So there's a lot of different ways as your savior can pull you out. Sometimes you need to be scolded. Sometimes you just need to be shown love and how to remember to love yourself.
There is this tool that maybe can be helpful to the listeners who are listening, is that of Socratic questioning. You tell me that, there are certain rules or paradigms of and I'll be like, okay, noted. Let me, based on what you just said, I will poke back and see the contradiction. So for example, I think in that conversation that we had, I asked you, if you could, because you seem like you're suffering quite clearly, what do you want? And you say you're not sure. And then I proposed some examples, and I said, do you want a little bit of time to yourself? Maybe 30 minutes, maybe half a day, maybe one day, just one day to yourself? Does that sound like something you like? And you're like, yeah, I want. And I say, okay, do you think that a loving or a partner for the long term could be accepting of a 1 day timeout? Just chill for 1 day. And she's like, I don't know. Then I say, well, if you cannot even accept 1 day, then, what more for anything else? It's just a small ask. Not even 1 day, I think it was 2 hours or something like that. Just let's not talk for 2 hours. I think it was just a simple ask. Yeah, and he could not even do that. I think that bore witness to the contradiction, maybe.
Feeling the contradictions seem to be a very effective way to pull someone out of a toxic relationship. And sometimes you have to, I agree, sometimes be gentle. Sometimes if you sense that their rationality is very high and they're trying to reason everything, their bullshit meter is very strong, cut through the knot.
Even in our example, I felt that a contradiction was revealed, which is, I want to help her, and you told me,
by doing that, you're a bad person. Bad person.
You're a bad person and you're not helping her. Actually, you're not helping either party. Then I go, oh damn! Contradiction revealed, I need to change. Because I think, and what was helpful was that you were able to get to the root of the knot that was stuck between me and her.
I think for me, why did I stay was maybe because I was, first of all, love bombed at the start. I didn't know what that feeling ever was, and I craved it, and I thought it would always be like that. But it started becoming so controlling, and controlling in a way for me to prove myself and for him to trust me. Because his excuse was that he can't trust me. So I went to the craziest extents for him to actually trust me. And I think I was just craving, I had so much love to give, and I wanted to keep giving it. But I think what made me realize that I need to love myself was that I was at that point already that I wasn't even giving love. I was just trying to protect myself and prove myself to him. But why do I need to prove myself to anyone?
Do you feel like back then, because he loved bombed you so much at the start, you felt like you had to prove that you were deserving of that love? Ooh.
Yeah.
Like, damn, if only I can make you trust me, right? Then, wow, I really deserve this level of love. Then I really matter. You know, kind of.
So I really felt like I didn't matter.
And so therefore your fight of staying of everything was to prove to yourself that you mattered.
And that contradiction for in terms of how you approached me as well was that you didn't tell me that I mattered, but
Showed you that you mattered.
yeah. And I realized I didn't need it from him.
Yeah. So that's actually what compelled you to stay. It was like it was a fight for yourself, basically.
Fight for myself. And I needed to go down the depths of it to realize that.
It's so interesting because you were saying that what made you follow him in a way was because you thought it was easier to follow someone than to figure out your own path. But then life reveals itself to be like, no, you can't take the shortcut. You need to fight for yourself. And this was a very twisted way of showing you that.
Yeah. And I needed to learn it the hard way because I felt as much as it was so painful at that time. And I also was on the verge of like, today is my last day, you know? But after pushing through that struggle, I feel unstoppable now, you know? And it wasn't, of course, it wasn't easy, but with all the pillars of support, I think everything is also possible.
Yeah. I resonated with what you said, that to be shown the depth of your own self-reliance and to bask in that solitude, like, wow, I'm capable of all this. I've gone through all that and survived. Yeah, you feel unstoppable. You feel like nothing then can tear me down. Because I've gone to the depths of hell and come back alive. And so I will do it again if I have to.
I think that like doing it again is more of, now I'm ready to take on new love, because I feel like a lot of times people who go through a really big breakup tend to feel like they don't ever want to feel that ever again, so they don't want to try loving again or be in a relationship. Maybe I have too much love to give, that's why I keep trying.
You used that phrase a few times. I have too much love to give. You have too much agape.
Too much again.
But to say you have too much agape, what does that really mean? It means I'm very willing to sacrifice myself. What kind of person must you be to say that?
Next podcast.
Next podcast. Wow. But you know what, strangely enough, when I kept saying I have a lot of love to give, was me projecting my past self that said I have a lot of love to give. Because now that you brought it up and you made me think about it, actually, I don't feel like I have a lot of love to give anymore. So maybe, as much as I said it today, it was just,
The phrase was a habit of the past.
it was a habit of the past.
There we go.
And I've grown so much more now, relationship after relationship, to realize you really need to love yourself.
And even then, like that phrase, I feel is overused. If you dig very deep, it's very, very deep and very difficult to understand. What does that mean to love yourself?
If I can try to define it, to love yourself is to have the faith, the experience, and the knowledge that you can completely be torn asunder and you can put it back together again. And that strength needed for that entire act of almost death and like resurrection can come from within. The source, you finally see it in yourself.
Wow, that hit me very hard. The source, you finally see it within yourself. I really want to.
You know your mother has that phrase, no one care about you except God and yourself and yourself.
Oh yeah, it was a funny story. Just to quickly share, my sister was heading off to study, and my mom is Belarusian, so her phrasing of English is translated through Russian. So she said to my sister, she wanted to mean that nobody cares about what you do in life, just do whatever you want. But she said, nobody cares about you. And then, so be happy, you know. But yeah,
And remember, nobody cares about you.
nobody cares about you.
Actually, it's so liberating.
It's so liberating, yeah, yeah. You are truly free then to do what you want to do, what you need to do.
It is also 12:16 a.m. So,
So much love to give. Oh, I take it back. I take it back. How about you say your last thoughts?
I think I want to touch. I mean, I was brought up a very devout Christian. So the Christian philosophies are very ingrained inside me. One of them being that contradiction between self-sacrifice and self-love. And then a big revelation being the church was built to some degree like a body. Like literally the body of a person in the Orthodox Church. And then also humans being created in the image of God. It's as if you choose to destroy the self-mutilation, self-destruction, it's also to damage that which God created. As we have been told through society not to hurt others, we should not also be hurting ourselves.
I think one of the things we can talk about in one of the episodes might be religion.
Definitely.
Love is so elusive that sometimes I like to arrive to what it is by what it is not. Be free, guys. Just be free.
Okay.
Go forth and fly.
Go forth and fly. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Till next time, if you have any questions, leave a comment. Or even topics that you want us to talk about. And we will make it happen. So stay tuned. Thank you. That's it.
Alright, cool.
Yay!
Apa.
This is so cute.
Oh my god, guys. This is a lot of footage.
It's a lot of footage. But surprise.